Hi guys, it's John here from the home recording studio. I've just returned from a little break and I'm back in the UK, but while I was on my holidays, I still wanted to make music. But all that I could use at the time was my iPhone. And although I don't use GarageBand very often, that was all I had to use. It's quite similar to Logic, so I thought, why not give it a go? I started a track on the aeroplane. It's not a full track, it's an 8-bar loop. It's a Lofi Hip-Hop track, and I just wanted to see whether it was possible to compose a track using GarageBand and create a professional sounding finished product. I want to bring the 8-bar loop into Logic and see if we can finish the track, give it a little bit of professional polish, and upload it to Motion Array. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everybody that I have a new free Kontakt instrument which is available to download from my website, which is thehomerecordingstudio.com. That's it, and let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is open up the GarageBand project, which I started on my iPhone. I'm going to open that up in Logic Pro. And for this to work, you need to have saved your GarageBand project either on your iPhone or iPad. Save it to the iCloud, and then on your desktop machine, if you open up iCloud, then I can see here in the GarageBand for iOS folder, that's where I've saved my project. So if I right click on that and Logic Pro and give it a new name, and then just select all of the data to be included with it, apart from movie file, which we don't need. Right, and this is the initial 8-bar loop which I created in GarageBand. So let's have a listen. So some of these instruments I played in myself. So this one is an electric piano called Summertines. Then we've got the muted bass. But the other instruments are mainly loops and samples. So we've got a drum loop. And then we've got a bunch of samples here. Some of them I chopped up myself. And all the samples I've used are from a GarageBand sample pack called Vision and Verse. So next I want to do a little bit of tidying up. So I want to tweak the MIDI for the electric piano. I want to try and add a bit of interest to that and just tidy up some of the timing of the notes. Then I would like to reinforce the drum loop just by adding an extra kick and snare. The chopped samples, just need to tidy them up a little bit with a fade in, fade out, and adjust the timing of some of them. So I'll do that and I'll be back in a second. So I've tidied the project up a little bit now, and you can see that I've added a few more MIDI notes into the keyboard part. I've also changed the patch for the electric piano, so this is my preferred electric piano sound. It is Vespertone by Teletone Audio, and the patch is Vespertone Wurlitzer. And that is all going through a Valhalla Vintage Verb. I've also added in a kick drum and a snare to reinforce the loop. And the kick and snare are both provided by Ava Prism Lo-Fi drums. The chopped samples have also been tidied up a little bit with a quick fade in and fade out and a few timing alterations. So next I'd like to bring in some more samples, but I'm going to use Loop Cloud for this. So this is Loop Cloud, and I'm going to pick a few samples from some of my favourite sample packs. And this one is Funk and Soul Variations 1 and 2 by the Brothers Nylon. And yeah, let's just see if there's something that works well with this track. So this is quite a nice sample here. So we'll have that one. Let's just see if there's any more electric pianos. Yeah, let's give that one a try. So let's adjust the tempo on these tracks and also transpose to match the key of the song. Also, let's change the flex time mode to polyphonic. Nice, so let's duplicate that so it matches the 8 bars, and let's see what the electric guitar is like. Again, we're going to need to pitch that up. Might have to chop some of this out. For instance, that bit there, this chord, this guitar chord clashes with what's being played. But we can live with that, and just to sort of cover up any gaps there, what I'm going to do is just add a reverb, again Valhalla Vintage Reverb. Next thing I'm going to do is play in the bass guitar part using a real bass guitar. And you might have noticed I've done a little bit of tidying up as well, just colour coding some of the instruments, grouping them together. Now I've come up with a bass part. Might not be perfect first time, but we'll just edit it. Okay, so it's by no means perfect, but we just need to do a little bit of editing. I'll stop it there and I'll be back to you in a minute. Okay, I've edited the bass guitar and it sounds like this. I've also added in an extra keyboard part. It's basically the same chords, but it comes just after the breakdown to add a little bit of variation, and it sounds like this. And the patch I've used is from Kontakt. It's called Ignition Keys, but to give it a bit of interest, I've used a plugin called Movement, which is by Output, the same people who make Output Arcade, and this is a patch called Plucking Around, and it just modulates the sound a little bit. So yeah, I really like this as a nice little variation. So next we're going to look at vocal samples, and back to my preferred sample library, which is Loop Cloud, and I've chosen quite a few vocal samples here from a pack called Sensual Chill Vocals. think that can work really well. So let's drag that into Logic. Let's have that come in at the chorus, and we need to just transpose that up 5 semitones. And also I like to put a Valhalla vintage reverb on my vocals. Also, I think that would be nice coming at the end of the 8-bar loop, so let's just throw this in here. A little bit sooner. There we go. EQ out some of the low frequencies. Nice, let's see if there are any more vocals that we can use. That one's nice. So let's take that one into Logic. That might sound nice in the breakdown section there. Let's have that. I could probably use half a dozen or so of these quite easily. Let's just take a few more of these. So I've finished placing my vocal samples, and I've created a vocal bus with all 3 tracks of vocals routed to it, and a whole host of plugins on this bus to give the vocals a vintage feel. Let's just have a listen. So there's a few things going on here. We've got EQ, compression, we've got a tape and tube effect. We've got sketch cassette, making it a bit more lo-fi, and there's an auto filter to cut out a lot of the high frequencies, and then we've got a kickstart, which is kind of modulating the volume up and down to give it kind of a pumping effect. And that's actually synced, or sidechained should I say, to the kick drum. But next I want to create some string sounds. I do have a lo-fi string patch that I've already set up, so it saves me a little bit of time. So again, let's just draw this note in. Just see what we think. So I think what would be nice here is a delay effect and some reverb as well. So I'm going to use Sound Toys, Echo Boy, and some of the rhythmic patches. Half the length of those notes so they don't carry on too long. And then we're going to put a nice bit of Valhalla vintage reverb on these as well. And let's just see if it makes any difference if I go up an octave. I think we need the strings louder, so we're going to just change the velocity on them. Nice. Nice. So we'll just adjust that slightly. We don't want it to come into the chorus. We'll loop it around the chorus. We'll maybe have some in the breakdown. That might be nice. And then they can come back in on the final chorus. Now we need some transitions in just to give it a little bit of interest as we go from each section. So the intro to the chorus, breakdown, verse, last chorus and outro. So my favourite way of doing that is having a cymbal swell. And what I'm going to use for that is if we create a new software instrument. And this is a free sound library for Kontakt, which you can get through Piano Book. So if I just load this up, it's called Cymbal Swells. And this is by Stephen Talamy. So if you want to check out his profile on Piano Book, you'll be able to download this for free. It's just a collection of cymbal swells. So if you actually switch it to sync, then it should sync to the tempo, but you just need to find the right place to start the cymbal swell. So first of all, we're going to go from the intro to the chorus. So I'll try it there. Nice, that seems to work, so we'll just copy that. And personally, again, I like to put a lot of reverb onto those cymbal swells, and also an EQ just to cut out the low frequencies, and maybe let's just boost the highs a little bit as well. Why not? In fact, we can make the reverb longer. Just to explain about the string patch that I've used, it's actually Spitfire Audio Intimate Strings, which is one of the originals range. Right, we're almost getting to the end. There's just a few final touches to do, so I'll be back with you in a second. So next, I'd like to do a couple of things. First of all, in this verse section here, I would like to filter out some of the vocal samples. Let's keep them in there, but let's just automate the cutoff filter so the high end doesn't come through. It's my vocal bus that we need, and switch to automation, change the automation mode to auto filter cutoff. So let's create some automation points and drop it down to about 30% for most of that section. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that's good. And next, I would like to add some tambourine in and maybe a bit of extra percussion as well. So for this, I'm going to use the Logic Drummer. I'm probably going to have to tweak this a little bit. But let's remove some of the other parts. Okay, so let's take this section here, and I think we'll just have it in the chorus for now. Don't need any of that low energy. Now, this could be interesting. Do we want to try and give the tambourine some swing? yeah, the swing feel tends to work better with this particular drum loop, so we'll go with that. So as well as the cymbal sweeps, it'd be quite nice to add in some chimes. And I think let's just bring the volume of both of those down a little bit. Might be nice to add a little bit of panning. Let's go with Sound Toys Pan Man. It's quite nice. Make that longer. Very good. Right, now let's just add the bar chimes into some of these other sections. Maybe not all of them. So we might want to add some one-shot percussion. So I think this one would sound nice in certain sections again, maybe in the chorus. We're going to put some Valhalla vintage reverb on it because it just sounds great on everything. That's nice. We can work with that. I'm just going to boost those a little bit more. Maybe put a little bit of a compressor on that, just to keep it in check. What we can also do is maybe use some kind of snap or clap. So we'll go back to Loop Cloud. That's quite nice. Let's use that. But we're just going to use this just before the chorus. Okay, so I've made a few changes away from the camera, so I'll just explain what I've done. One of the things is I have actually muted the original drum loop because I felt like really it didn't need the original drum loop, and that's okay. We've used that as an inspiration for the drum beat pattern, and now we've got the kick and the snare, but I've also added in a shaker which comes in at certain points. So let's just have a listen. And I actually bounced those drums down to a stereo track, which is this track here. And I've used some lo-fi plugins here. So there's Vinyl by Isotope and Cymatics Origin. And then I've automated the filter cutoff. Then I have added a few more percussive elements. So there's a drum fill now. And I've also added an Atmos track. And this is something I just recorded on my phone, but I've managed to chop it up so that it's in time with the beat. So we'll just have a quick listen. Just to add to the summer feel, the summer flavour of the track. It's just a nice little touch which is often used in Lofi Hip-Hop. So I've made a few changes. I've brought in the washy guitar sample, which I must have missed before. So that's a nice guitar sample which just sits in the chorus. And thinking about melody, I would often use a melody instrument, but because we've got these two samples, which are the melody keys and the washy guitar, between those two instruments we do have a melody going on. So I don't feel there's need to add any more melody instruments. Apart from that, I've just tweaked a few sounds here and there, automated a few tracks for volume and filter cut-offs. One of the main things I did was I actually added some lo-fi effects to the keys. So the electric piano, I've added a RC20 retro colour, but the melody keys I also added the same setting for the RC20. So that just gives them a more wobbly tape feel, makes them a bit more lo-fi. So we are coming to the end now. I feel like we've got enough here and enough variation and some nice elements all in place. So I'm just going to go back and do a little bit more mixing, and then we can have a listen to the final track. So I've made one last change just before we mix this down, and I've added in a clap sample to the chorus. So let's just see what that sounds like. So that just works nicely with the wooden percussion, just to give the chorus a little bit more sense of space, because otherwise this snare on its own is quite dry. Now add in the clap. And just before I mix down for the final time, I am going to look at the drum bus. So we've got the SSL bus compressor. So let's just see what that's doing in the loudest section, which is the chorus. Make the attack a little bit slower, and yeah, that should do it. Just minimal gain reduction really on the bus compressor, and a little bit of makeup gain as well. And finally on the stereo bus we've got Ozone 10. So we're ready to mix it down. I'm going to set my locators in Logic and enjoy. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this track being put together, which, if you remember, came from an original loop which I put together in GarageBand just on my iPhone. And it is possible, I think, to use GarageBand as a sketchpad for ideas like this and create basic loops, but in terms of workflow, I just enjoy using Logic. You can work a lot quicker. Once you add additional loops and instruments, then you can really create a professional sounding production. Leave me some comments below and let me know what you think of the track and your preferred DAW of choice, and I'll see you soon. Just a quick reminder before I go, head over to my website, which is thehomerecordingstudio.com, and you can pick up a free copy of my latest Kontakt instrument. Take care, guys. I will see you in the next video.